Oh my gosh. Guys, this is actually the worst date I have ever been on in my life. And not even because there wasn't a connection. It was because I literally met the worst human to ever exist on the planet Earth. I met him in person here in Seoul, South Korea. And the funniest part was that everyone who follows me on Instagram, okay, let me back up. So if you follow me on Instagram, and you should, if you don't already, go follow me on Instagram, will know that a few nights ago I went on a terrible, awful date with this man who said horrible, rude, mean, insensitive things to me, who was a complete jerk to everyone we met as we walked around the city, and it was just a horrible experience. And people that were messaging me on Instagram and responding to my story assumed that he was Korean, but he was actually American. This wasn't a white guy from America, from Florida, like grade A trash. And I am so sorry in advance because this is probably going to be a long video because so much shit happened. So if you don't already, don't forget to subscribe, give this video a big thumbs up, and get some tea, get some coffee, have a seat, put your headphones in if you're in public, and let's see what happened. So it was a few nights ago. I was bored, whatever, and I was just like, you know, whatever, let me just go on Tinder and just like swipe. And I'm swiping. I swipe left for like 98% of the people on Tinder, so it's really just like, if I find someone that happens to possibly look taller than me, then yeah, maybe I'll swipe right if they look like they speak English, or yeah, it's pretty much how it goes. So I'm swiping, and I come across this guy, and I'm like, his bio seems kind of interesting. His pictures are like, he wasn't super attractive, but in his bio it said he was 6'7". So I was like, yes, swipe right for that height, and for that height only. So I swipe right for him, and I don't really know how much time passed, but then we matched, and he messaged me right away. I wish I could show you guys, like, or tell you guys a bit more details about our messages to begin with on Tinder, but it was pretty brief. And as soon as the date finished, like the next morning when the crazy shit started happening, I went back and I blocked him on that, so I can't even access those messages anymore. And yeah, so we'll get there. So yeah, so you know, we're messaging like right off the bat. He's like, can I have your cacao? Like, can I message you? I'm like, yeah, sure, you can message me. He's like, can we meet tonight? I'm like, we can't meet tonight, but maybe we can meet tomorrow. So he's like, okay, cool, we can meet tomorrow. So he's like, I don't really, like, I'm busy, I don't really have time to keep texting all the time, but you know, I'd rather just talk to you once we get to know each other, or once we meet up. Like, that's perfectly fine. Like, I'm the same. I got a lot of stuff to do. I don't have time to be texting somebody, you know, all day long. So, you know, check in, see what's up, and move about your day. You don't need to be texting me all the time. And so that was cool. We established that, I thought. But then he keeps texting me, and like, I'm trying to be nice, like trying to respond, but at the same time I'm like, I thought we just established that we weren't going to keep texting each other. Okay, whatever. Keep texting, and I'm answering his questions, and eventually I asked him a question back, and he's like, oh, finally you asked me a question back. And I'm like, oh, okay, simmer down, sir, because I didn't ask you a question, not because I was being rude, I didn't care to get to know you, but because we had already established we were going to wait to ask each other questions and get to know each other when we met in person. And he was like, oh, you're right. I mean, he's like, well, what, you got a lot of questions to ask me? And I'm like, no, I don't have a lot of questions to ask you. I don't know what you want me to say. Okay, let's just wait until tomorrow, like we established, and we'll talk then. So he's like, okay, cool. And he still continues to text me, and it's whatever. So the next day comes, then he texts me again, and we make our plans. And so that's what we did. I went into the city, I was shopping, and then when he was ready, he met up with me. And he got his hair like lightened or whatever, no big deal. I met him, I was like, hey, what's up, and we went for a walk. So we decided we were gonna get dinner, and like, do you have a place in mind? Or like, do you want me to take you someplace, you know, or we're just gonna walk around and stumble upon something? And he's like, no, I got a place in mind. So he's taking me to this place, And prior to him taking me to this place, I had messaged him and I was like, just so you know, like when you're picking a restaurant, I don't eat beef and I don't eat pork. So I'm not picky. As long as there's a chicken option on the menu or a fish option on the menu, I'm good. And so he's like, yeah, no problem. Guys, he takes me to a pork restaurant. So I'm like, I don't want to go here. And he's like, okay, no problem. You don't have to go here. You don't have to go here. I'm like, I know. I didn't say like, I know. I'm like, oh, thanks so much. Do you mind if we go like somewhere else? Like I know a spot that can, serve different options. He's like, yeah, I'm totally opting this place. It's just a place that I like, but I'm happy to try something new. So I take him to a place that I love, and I always go to. And I kind of regret now taking him to a place that I love and I always go to because he ruined that experience in that restaurant for me a bit. From the very moment we entered that door, it was like fire. Just fire. Okay, so we get to the restaurant and the first thing that he is upset by is that there aren't forks at this restaurant. I'm like, I get it. You're used to using forks, but it's really not that big of a deal. Like they have chopsticks and they have spoons. Whatever you can't, if you can't use chopsticks, pick up a spoon and make it work. Don't be a baby about it. But you don't see Asian people going to Outback Steakhouse in America and like banging the tables like, where's the chopstick? It's like, you're not in America. When you go to a different country, there are certain things that you should expect. And when we were walking, he was like, and like in our conversation, things just didn't add up. Like he was complaining about how people here were weird and they were strange and they were this and they were that and super negative in his views of Korea. But the thing is, none of the things that he said made sense. It was like, these people aren't negative, these people aren't weird, these people just are from a different culture. So their standards and their understandings and their day-to-day life is just, the term to use is different. Not weird, it's not bad, it's just not your culture. That doesn't make it wrong. And so he's like, yeah, I hate that. I've been shaking people's hands and they're not shaking my hand. And I'm like, who told you to come to Korea and try to shake people's hands? Like, who told you to do that? People don't shake hands here, so they're not being weird or rude by not accepting your handshake. You're the one that's being weird and rude because you're extending a handshake in a country where people don't do that. Like it's like going to people here, especially people you don't know and giving them hugs. Like that's not their culture, And and the more he talked, the more he let me know that he was living in this country, but he knew nothing about the place where he decided to move his business or to live, which is just beyond me. And he had this attitude about him, like he kept saying, oh, like Korean people, they just want to be Americans. And he literally said, they owe us. They owe us. Are you kidding me? They owe us. What does anyone in this country owe me? Not a damn thing. And they owe him nothing either. Like, and the way they're so poor, they're so this, they're so that, they're so unhappy, they're miserable, like their life sucks. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know where you got this information from, but I don't think it's correct. Are there people here that are poor? Of course. Are there people here that are unhappy? Of course. That goes for literally every country in the world, bruh. Like, that's not a Korea issue. That's just a mankind issue. Okay, so that already was like, just that whole conversation was on my nerves. But I'm still trying to play it cool. Why I'm trying to play it cool, I don't know. Food, I guess. The food was good. We went to the restaurant that I like, remember? And so yeah, I'm just still trying to eat, trying to change the subject, make small talk. And he's like, what did he say? He's like, and you gotta talk to them a certain way. Like, I can't talk to them the way that I talk to you. And I'm like, oh, because of the language barrier? And he's like, yeah, because of the language barrier. You get me, because you gotta talk to them like, how are you today? Hi, may I have and I'm just like, why would you need to talk to them like that? And he's like, cause like the language barrier. And I'm like, okay. So if you don't know Chinese, but I speak to you slowly and loudly in Chinese, is that gonna help you understand? No. So if they understand English, then it makes sense to me, at least, to speak to them in a normal, conversational voice. Maybe a bit slower, but not, asshole slower. And if they don't know the language, then you use a translator app and try to speak to them in their language. Don't try to force them to speak to you in yours. It doesn't make sense. You're not in your country. Like, so I'm just like, okay. At this point, the way he was speaking to the waiter, the way he was speaking to the staff people at this restaurant, I'm like, this guy is complete trash. Like, I was so embarrassed to be at that table. And like the waiter would come over and he'd be like, you're number one. You're number one. Number one. You're number. Who does that? Like, who? You're a grown ass man. You're almost 30 years old. Why are you at a restaurant like telling this wait staff and this weird obnoxious voice that they're number one? I don't get it. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at myself. But yeah, I just don't get it. And so I'm like, this is just so awkward, and like I'm trying to be like overcompensate for his rudeness. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, like, no, thank you so much for your help, like you're doing, like we really appreciate your service, like just like trying to be friendly. And like one of the guys that was cooking our food at this restaurant, he actually, like, he could tell more than my date could tell how uncomfortable I was. And he's cooking our food and he's entertaining this fool's questions. And like he's giving me kind of side eyes like, girl, I'm sorry. And also kind of a look like, I've seen it before, you know? And like, I'm like, oh, fuck, like, it just was really, really awkward. And then so there's a bottle of water on our table. It's in a container, and there's cups. And he's like, oh, what do you want to drink? Like the guy that I'm on the date with. I'm like, oh, I'll just drink the water. It's like he presses the button, because in Korea you press a button to call for the service. So he presses the button and the server comes over and he's like, 2 bottles of water. You have 2 bottles of water? And the guy, like, who obviously speaks English after they just had that conversation, like, is like, there's water right next to you, sir. And he's like, oh, that's the water. Oh, okay, that's the water. Cool, thank you, bye. And I'm like, just why are you so hype? Like, relax. You're in a chill restaurant. Just fall back 12 million notches. So I pour the water and the conversation gets worse. All right, so we're just making small talk at this point, like, you know, chatting about a whole bunch of nothing. And he looks at me like very serious, and he's like, I've never, and he's like, I gotta watch what I say because I don't want to come across racist. I'm like, okay, great. And he's like, because, you know, black people these days are really sensitive about that race thing. And I'm like, okay. I'm giving you all the white and ignorant passes I could possibly give a human at this point. And I'm just breathing, you know? And I'm just like, okay, let him finish his thought. And he's like, it's not that I don't like black women, it's just that, like, sometimes they're intimidating. And sometimes it's just like, I don't know if we like the same things or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, what kind of, like, different, unique things do you think black women like that other people don't like? Okay, I don't get that. But fine, sure, that's fine. And he's like, and so when I saw your page on Tinder, I was like, I paused for a second, because usually I just swipe left, like when I see a black woman. But I was like, oh, she's pretty. And I was like, and he's like, I just want to let you know, like, you're pretty for a black girl. You're pretty for a black girl. You're pretty for a black girl. And I was like, I'm pretty for a black girl. You're saying that with a straight face, and you have no even sort of comprehension as to why that could possibly be offensive. Dude, you're just dumb. Like, at this point, I'm like, this dude is I want to curse so bad, is an idiot. Like, who raised you? Where did you go to school? You have a master's degree in what? What did you possibly study? In all of your years of education, you have taken 0 cultural sensitivity classes. Like, no. Okay, relax. As I did at that table, I relaxed. And he was like, yeah, but you're really pretty. Like, I like your body. Da da da. And I'm like, okay. Thanks for that compliment. And he's like, oh, I could tell by your face that, you know, you offended. You know, I didn't even say nothing wrong. He's like, I have this saying. I don't even remember what his saying was, but it was something like along the lines of like, I'm not responsible for what I say. Or, what did he say? It was like, it's not my fault what I say, it's the person's fault for receiving it wrong. Like, he had some sort of like catchphrase saying that was basically that sort of understanding. He was like, I'm not responsible for what comes out of my mouth. If you're offended, it's your fault, not mine. Is basically what his attitude was. And I was like, that is also just adding to the list of like the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. And so I'm just like, at this point, I'm like, well, this food is good. This food is real good. And we got a lot of food left. And I'm just like, girl, eat your food and keep it moving. So I'm eating my food and I'm keeping it moving. And he's like, yeah, and he's like, oh yeah, like, and a white guy and a black guy, and a white guy and a black girl like going out is kind of something different. Like, it's not something you see all the time. And I was like, it's not? You don't see that very often, like interracial couples in America? Like, and he's like, you know, because like most white people only have one black friend. He was like, when I was in middle school, one black friend. High school, one black friend. College, one black friend. Now I got one black friend. And he's like, actually, you know, those other black friends, they're still like my friends. I just have like my one black friend now. But he's like, she'll never see a white person with a bunch of black friends. Like, he said that. Like, you don't ever see a white person with a bunch of black friends. Like, what? I'm like, and at this point I'm like, dude, that's just not true. Like, I was like, I've always, my whole life, had a diverse group of friends. There have been times in my life where like the majority of my friends have swayed in one way or the other. But for the most part, at any moment of time in my phone, you are going to see people from all ethnicities, from all backgrounds, you know, because that's just my reality. So maybe for you, you know, in your sphere, in your community, you don't see the races intermingle, but for where I'm from, like, it's pretty much a normal thing. And the craziest part, guess where he was from? Miami. You are from Miami. You are from Miami. Miami is brown, filled with brown people. Confusion, like so much confusion. How you don't know any black people and you live in Miami? Just, okay. If you live in Miami and you don't know any black people, that's a choice. Like, and so the horrible awkwardness continues. And at this point, I'm just like, I'm perfectly fine. I'm having a great time today, thanks. And he's like, I can tell you're upset. I'm like, oh really, you can? Oh, interesting. And then he has like a mini panic attack at the table. And I'm like looking at him and he's not looking at me and he's just like at the table like, he's like, I'm sorry. I don't know. And I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? And he's like, what? Sir, excuse me, I can't hear you. What? And I'm just like, you. What is he doing? Bruh, you good? Like, what are you doing? And that was like maybe just a minute and a half. And a minute and a half is such a short period of time, but it feels like a long time. Like, just imagine you at a dinner table and your date on a first date is just having a breakdown for no reason. Like, you did nothing wrong. They acted a fool, and then they have the breakdown. Like, okay, so at this point, dude comes out of his crazy whatever just happened, and he's got a new personality. And now instead of just having this conversation with me like a normal person, he has added a new level of crazy. He's going in and out of like a normal regular voice and talking like, yo, what's up? How you doing? Da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, what? Like, you were just talking normal for like 20 minutes. Why are you talking like this now? And he's like, yeah, cause you know, I like just talking real like whatever he thought he was talking like. And I was like, are you okay? And he's like, and then he starts laughing himself. So I'm like, oh, he was just kidding. And he's like, yeah, I just like talking like that sometimes, you know, I just like talking like that, you know what I mean? Because like, you black people like when people talk to you like that. And I was like, what? And he was like, don't try to hide it. Like, be proud of where you're from. I'm like, we're both from America. What do you mean be proud of where I'm from? And he's like, girl, 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 I'm talking like I'm from the hood, you know. I know black girls like when guys talk to them like they from the hood. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I'm from the hood. I carry a gun, da 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 da. Yeah, because black girls like this and we like that shit. And then he would like stop and then like laugh with himself like, and then talk normal for a bit and then go back to, you know what I mean, da da da. And then it's like this pattern of like the ghetto on drugs rapper, whatever kind of voice, laughter, and then normal talking. And the whole time I'm there like, what the is this dude on? What is going on? And his behavior became more and more and more increasingly, I don't even know the word, like just outrageous. And I'm like, am I being punked? Ashton Kutcher, get your ass out here right now because this joke is over. But it wasn't a joke. This was this man's real life. And a part of me like, have we been drinking? Have we been drinking? Nah. We didn't order any drink. We've been drinking water. We are both sober. And so for no reason, he has no excuse. He is just acting a fool. And just one crazy rant after another, after the next, just more reasons why, you know, Americans are superior to Koreans, more reasons why black women love ghetto things, more reasons why he is just the king of the world, and giving me lists of reasons why he's amazing. And I was just like, oh my god, okay. This is my fate for this evening. This is my fate. I will deal with this craziness. And so finally, you know, him and I, we've had enough food. Things have seemed to settle down a little bit. And we had decided we were going to get some tea. Y'all, don't tell me why I decided to get some tea. Don't ask me. Don't you dare in the comments ask me why I went somewhere else with him. Don't ask me. I don't know. I don't know. I just felt like I needed to be nice to him for some reason. I felt like it would have been rude for me to just leave, and I needed to be nice. And that was the wrong thing to think. I get it now. I get it now. I should have ran out of there so fast, grabbed my purse. But this dude was crazy. Like, part of me was thinking, like, if I leave, will he find me and kill me? Like, I don't know. He was off. Like, every way possible. Like, just off. And so we get up, and he, like, opens his wallet. And this whole time, he's like, I'm so successful. I got so much money. And I'm like, okay, good for you. And he is like, opens his wallet, like pulls out some like $1,000 wands, which is like less than $1 US, and he's like trying to tip the waitress, like the waiters, the waitstaff. And like, I get in his face and I'm like, yo, like, hey, like, let's just go. It's Korea, like we don't have to tip here, it's not necessary. And he's like, you don't know. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like I've lived here for almost a year. You know, I do my best to understand the culture of the place where I'm living, and I just know for a fact that there is no tipping culture here. just like awkward and unnecessary. And you would put them in a position where they're kind of like, I don't know what to do, you know? And I'm just like, yeah, we can just go until we leave. And he's like, okay, you got it this time, girl, but next time don't ever do that again. Don't ever do that again. And I'm like, don't worry, I will never, ever do that again. All right, so me and this idiot continue to walk, and he takes me to this coffee shop that has like this, it's a cute little place. And once we get there, I realized that he took me here because there's like little like sort of like cozy spots where you can go and maybe like get a bit more close to someone. And he's like, oh, let's go, you know, over here, let's go in the car, let's go. And I'm like, we're gonna sit right here in this table in the middle under the lights so the whole restaurant can see us, where the CCTV cameras can see us, where I have 12 witnesses. I'm not going to nobody's nooks and crannies, corners with your crazy ass. We sitting right here in the middle. I didn't say any of that. But I'm like, no, I'm wearing this dress, you know, I'm not comfortable in any of those sections. I'd rather just sit at this table right here. And I sit down. And he's like, oh, you know fun. You a lame girl. You're not one of them like fun girls. You boring. I know you. You just trying to pretend like you a good girl, but I could tell you not no good girl. You pretending. And he's back to that like gangster voice. You know, he's like, you pretended, you know, you trying to act like you a good girl and stuff, but you really a bad girl. You got that devious side to you. I know you do. You got that devious side to you. I know you do. And I'm like, what the f he talking about? What are you talking about? I'm like, you don't know me. You don't know me. I don't know you. I don't want to get to know you. You're crazy. And I'm just like, okay, yep, you right. Oh, I got some devious side to me. How'd you know? And we get tea, and I'm like, oh, like, thank you. You know, it's really nice of you to buy me some tea. He's like, oh, do you want anything else? I'm like, no, it's fine. He gets cheesecake when we sit down. And I suffer a bit longer. And then finally, you know, originally I had told him, actually the reason I went to tea was because before I was like, yeah, I could stay out till 10. I should have never told no man I don't even know before I even met him what time I was gonna leave, because then he felt like he had all this time with me. No, I shouldn't have said that, but that was my fault, whatever. But this was, I didn't even make it till 10. This was like maybe 9:20. I was like, okay, I think we're both ready to go. And then he's like, you like girls? You like the type that like girls? And I was like, thank you, I guess, but no, I don't like girls. I just like guys. And I was like, do you like guys? And actually before we met, I was actually happy he asked me if I like girls, because before we had met, when I had looked through his pictures, he looked really like comfortable with a lot of his guy friends, which is fine, but I just wanted to know, like, was he bi or not? So he asked me, I was like, oh, like, you know, do you like guys? And then he went off, okay? He throws his hands up in the air and he's like, yeah, I love guys. I love them big ones. I love this part and I love that part and I love da-na-na. At the cafe, like, why are you doing that? Why? Put your hands down. Put your hands down. Lower your voice. I'm like freaking out. There's like, I'm not an anxious person. I don't experience anxiety. So I'm not gonna pretend like I know what that's like. But at that moment, I feel like I was pretty close to feeling some serious anxiety. Maybe that's the wrong word. I was feeling all kinds of embarrassment. And it was stressing me out big time. And he's like, I'm just kidding. And I'm like, you just went into really extreme detail about your love for eggplant emoji. And for no reason, like that wasn't warranted. I didn't ask you any of that. I just asked you if you're into guys, and you just went off on your love for them. Okay, fine. And once again, I'm just left like confused and uncomfortable. That's like the theme of this date. How can we make Imani Christine confused and uncomfortable? Alright, so Mr. Smooth goes in for his next compliment. And this time he looks at me and he's like, you got a nice color. And like compares me to some sort of like chocolate dessert. And I'm like, you just compared me to some candy? Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, great. In my head, I'm having this conversation. And he's like, you know, you look good, looking like some chocolate. But you're gonna be my girl. Like, you gotta stay out the sun. I don't want you to get any darker. You don't want me to get any darker. I just don't even have words. Or why do you think you have the right to tell me how my complexion can and cannot be? Like, how, what? And just like, so this day ends, basic information. So another story that he told me while we were there was about like how, you know, he's almost 30 years old. He's never been in a real relationship. He had one relationship that lasted for a month. Finally, we leave the coffee shop where we were getting our tea, and I'm like, hey, like, it was nice to meet you, and I'm gonna head to the metro now. Like, I'm ready to go. And like, so he's like, oh, don't worry, I'll walk you back. And I'm like, oh, great, thanks. And at this point, his personality is so big, his voice is so loud. Together, we both so damn tall. Like, it's just too much. It's just too much. And we come out the coffee shop, and there's these two women about to go in, and he stops them because they look Asian. And he's like, trying to give them his review of the coffee shop. One, they didn't ask for your review on the coffee shop. These was just two women minding their business going into the coffee shop. Second, why are you yelling at them? And he's doing his old like, how are you, like super slow, dramatic, dumbass voice. As soon as these women open their mouth, they're either from America or Canada. Like, and he's still talking to them as if they're some sort of like, you know, tourists from backwoods China who know a little bit of English. Like, what are you doing? Shut up. And like, I separate myself and the girls kind of like look at me and I'm like, I don't know him. And then they go in like, okay, thank you. And they go into the coffee shop. And so, he is like, needs to stop into a store. And he goes into the store and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go to the metro. And he's like, you're not gonna wait for me? Like, I'm like, oh, okay, you want me to wait for you? Like, yeah, sure, I'll wait for you. So he goes into the store and he opens the door for me. I'm like, I'm just gonna wait outside. Because at this point, he is acting so irrational. I'm like, this is a city where I live. Let's say I want to go back to the store at another point in time. I don't want to feel like I can never go back to this store again because I walked in here with you and you did some crazy stuff and you was acting weird and you was screaming and you was talking like you were, you know, not even from the hood, talking like you were from somebody's like Boys in the Hood movie or something. Like you were from Soul Plane, I don't know, just acting crazy. So he goes in, he's in there for a while. And these girls come out of the store. They're Korean women, so they're speaking Korean. I don't really know what they're saying. But by their body language and the way they're speaking to each other, I can tell they are talking about him. And they're like laughing and like, oh my god, like kind of like, oh my god, what was he doing? Like their reaction to each other was like kind of looking back in the store at him and like, and I'm just like, what is he in there doing? What is he in there saying? Acting crazy. And he was in there for like, it felt like a while. He came out finally and he had nothing. And then he was upset and he was angry and he was like, I went in there for some toothpaste and they didn't have no toothpaste. And I'm like, oh my gosh, just stop screaming. Be quiet. Just be quiet. Use your indoor voice. Like, there's toothpaste to be found. Relax. I'm angry. Can you tell I'm angry? I'm gonna... So we're walking and he's screaming and he's upset and he goes to like put his arm around me. And I kind of like, I'm like, hey, you know, do that little shimmy out, a little shimmy out. And he's like, oh, what did I do? What did I do? I didn't do anything wrong. And you don't put my arm around you? You too good? You too this? You don't put my arm around you? And I'm like, oh my god, I'm just tired of like having to defend everything that I do. I'm just tired of your presence. I'm tired of your voice. I'm tired of your everything. And I'm like, no. I'm like, the issue is the way you're talking. The issue right now of why I don't want your arm around me is because you're talking in a really unnatural way. You're talking like you're just crazy. You're talking like you're crazy. And he's like, no, girl, 'cause that's how I like to talk. That's how you like it. Why you lying? Why you lying? And he's talking so loud. And then he puts his arm around me again, but this time he's like, hello, ma'am. How are you today? Do you like when I speak like this? And I was like, yeah, actually, I like when you speak like that a lot better than when you put your arm around me like, yo, what's up, ma? How you doing? Da-da-da. And he was like, oh, you really like them white boys. You really like them white boys. She want me to act so white. She want me to act so white. And he's like screaming as he's walking down the street. I'm looking at him like, what are you talking about? Where are these words and these thoughts coming from? And I'm just like, and he starts to walk a bit ahead of me. And I'm like, thank God, I just need to walk back behind him, catch my thoughts, and not be associated with this fool. And then we meet up again, like we're walking next to each other again at this point, because the crowd, like, you know, is less thick. And he's like, and I'm like, you're acting a little bit different now. And he's like, yeah, I know, because food makes me intelligent. Food just makes me smart. When I eat food, like after I eat food, it just makes me so smart. And I'm like, after you eat food, you genuinely believe that you become more intelligent. I can't make this stuff up, y'all. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. You go to eat some french fries and be like, I'm I'm about to get my PhD. No, you're not. You are not about to eat some french fries and go get your PhD because you ate some french fries. That's not how life works. Idiot. And I'm just mentally, emotionally drained by that evening. And I just hop into bed and I go to sleep. I don't text him. I'm grateful that he doesn't text me. And I'm thinking, we're both on the same page. That was a disaster. I'll never hear from him again. Perfect. I wake up the next morning for work. And he texted me at like 7 a.m. I responded to his message around 7:30 a.m. and it's like, him messaging me like, oh no text, oh no text when you got in, oh no text, you know, follow up text after the date, some text like that. And I'm like, sorry, I just came in and went to bed, like, really confused as to why I'm getting this text because I was convinced I was done with him. And I'm like, and then he texts me back and he's like, are you a feminist? I'm like, does my phone say 7:40 a.m.? Does my phone say 7:40 a.m. and some random dude I don't like is messaging me to ask me if I'm a feminist? Why wouldn't I be a feminist? What? And he's like, but what kind of feminist? Because, you know, there's the old feminist that had the good ideas, you know, that made some sense. No, he was like, the old feminist made some sense, but these new feminists, they don't make any sense. So I just want to know, are you the old feminist that made sense or the new feminist that don't make any sense? And I just was like, what about feminism doesn't make sense to you? And he was like, I just want you to answer the question. Are you the old feminist that makes sense, or the new feminist that doesn't make sense? And I'm thinking in my head, the only thing that doesn't make sense right now at 7:45 a.m. is you texting my phone on some bullshit. That's literally the only thing in my life right now that doesn't make sense. So this is so long, I'm not gonna read all this. So basically, I'm gonna do a big favor so you don't do this to anyone else. I'm going to warn all the men in Korea about the shitty person that you are and how you use men. And I'm like, what? We went on one date. Yeah, you paid, and yes, I said thank you both times for the coffee and the food. But also, you treated me like shit. You insulted me a million times. And for the entire date, for two people to eat, you know, at a restaurant and get coffee, the total for the entire date cost $50. So you spent $25 for you and $25 for me, and even less for me because I didn't eat half the shit that he ate. He got a lot of food for himself. So maybe you spent $15 with me that night. Bruh. What kind of, you know, successful businessman, the first thing he has to say when a girl doesn't want a second date with him is to throw, I spent $15 on you. I spent 15, you're gonna waste my 15. So I'm like flabbergasted. So gonna summarize this for you guys because this video is long. I know, I'm sorry. And I'm like, I'm sorry you feel that way. Like, I was definitely grateful that you got the food. You know, I'm not someone that, you know, cares too much about money. And I think the fact that you think that I went on that date with you for the sole purpose of getting a free dinner is insane. Like, this is Korea. I can walk out of my house and get food for $4. I don't need anyone to buy me a dinner. Like, what? And so I went through some examples in this text. You guys have already heard them about some things that he said that hurt my feelings. And he was like, he goes back, remember something, never forget this. You work here. You have a lot to lose. You work for the public system. Having bad publicity is not good. You are out of line. And if I had showed this to any reasonable person in the end, your angle is my problem with this. It's okay to have disagreements and not have interest in someone, but the way you've done this is just wrong. And it just goes, like, I just can scroll through of like paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs, and he keeps going, he keeps going, he keeps going. And then finally he ends with like, please don't bother me anymore. Literally for the past like 2 pages of my phone I haven't been responding. And he keeps going, just doesn't make any sense. Please don't bother me anymore. You are not a good person. You can lead yourself to believe that, but it's an illusion in your head. Your brain does that sometimes. Your angle is unacceptable. And quite frankly, you should be ashamed of yourself. I should be ashamed of myself, guys. If you don't know what you did, you're complicit. If you did, you're too incompetent to understand the disrespect behind it. I never want any person to deal with this from you or any woman that does this. Because not everyone can afford $50 dates. And I'm just like, but wait, what? Guys. And then it just keeps going and keeps going, and he ends finally with good luck, bro, after no more responses from me. And basically the summary of all of that foolishness is that he plans to warn all the men in Korea about how evil and devious I am, and to make sure that no other men get scammed out of first dates with me. And it was just bizarre. It was just confusing. It was crazy. And like, the whole thing is, like, especially the end part about the money really kind of got under my skin, because like, whenever I go out with someone, I always offer to pay for myself or split the bill or go Dutch. But I didn't on this date for the sole reason that from the time I met him to the time we left, he did nothing but brag about how wealthy and successful he was. Why am I gonna pull out my little dimes if, you know, like, no, there's no way. No, I'm not pulling my money. No. Like, if you had been like, yo, you know, we're both English teachers, we're both struggling, yeah, let's split the bill, whatever. Like, I own this big company and I have properties here, I go on vacations, da, 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 da. And then you want to cry because you spent $15 on my dinner. Alright guys, if you have watched this video to the end, bless you. Thank you, I really appreciate it. Just leave your comments down below. Let me know, like, just let me know what you think about the story. Like, just let me know. Yeah, I have my heart. I'm drained. I'm drained. If you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. Give me a big thumbs up. And I will talk to you soon.